Humanity has always looked up at the stars and wondered. We've sent probes to the outer reaches of our solar system and built telescopes that can see to the very edge of time, all because we're trying to figure out our place in this giant cosmos. But there's one single question that sits behind it all.
I mean, it's the question, isn't it? The one that's captivated everyone, from ancient storytellers to today's top scientists. But what if the answer isn't just something we dream about? What if it's hidden in the strange signals we're now starting to pick up from deep space?
Okay, so you've probably seen a headline like this pop up on your social media feed recently. It goes viral every time. A weird signal. NASA's involved. Could this finally be it? Well, before we all start preparing for an alien invasion, let's take a breath and break down what's really going on out there.
All right, so to really get a handle on this, we need to separate the science fact from the science fiction. What are these signals really? And why do they get astronomers so worked up? See, the first thing to know is that space is not silent. Not at all. It's humming, buzzing, and crackling with all kinds of radio waves and signals. Scientists have built these enormous radio telescopes to essentially listen in on the universe. And most of what they hear is, pretty standard stuff from stars and galaxies. But every now and then they catch something weird. And one of the biggest mysteries out there is something called a fast radio burst, or an FRB. Now get this, imagine a blast of energy that's more powerful than 1,000,000 suns combined, but it only lasts for a tiny fraction of a second, and then it's gone. Poof, vanished. They're so incredibly powerful, we can detect them from billions of light years away. So what in the universe could possibly create something like that? Well, the leading scientific theories point to some pretty epic natural events, things like black holes or super-dense neutron stars colliding. But there's another possibility, a much more exciting one. What if these bursts aren't natural at all? What if they're artificial? A signal from some incredibly advanced civilization. And that's a possibility that has some very smart people listening very, very carefully. And that idea, even if it is a long shot, has fueled a really dedicated, really scientific hunt for intelligent life somewhere out there in the cosmos. This is where you get organizations like SETI. It literally stands for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Their whole mission, their entire reason for being, is to listen for a signal from the stars that we just can't explain with natural physics, a sign that maybe, just maybe, we're not alone. And the way they do it is some serious detective work. It's not just pointing a dish at the sky and hoping for the best. First, they scan huge patches of the sky. Then, they use computers to comb through mountains of data, looking for any kind of anomaly or pattern that doesn't look natural. And then comes the most important step of all. They try to prove it's not aliens, ruling out every single other possible explanation. But that last step, ruling everything else out, is where things get really tricky. Because you know how it is. The moment a strange signal gets detected, the internet just lights up with rumors. The reality, though, is usually a lot more down to earth. Here's something you have to remember. For any credible scientist or agency like NASA, claiming something is alien is the absolute 100% last resort. The burden of proof is gigantic. Science is all about patiently eliminating every other possibility before you even think about making a claim that big. That's why you almost never see official confirmations. And the truth is, the vast majority of these mystery signals turn out to be things we can explain. They could be natural objects we haven't discovered yet, or even just interference from our own satellites. And get this, there was one really famous case where a repeating signal had scientists totally stumped for years, until they finally traced it to a microwave oven in the observatory's kitchen being opened too early. No joke. But okay, even with all these logical explanations, microwaves and all, the fundamental mystery just doesn't go away. And that's because when you start to consider the sheer scale of the universe, well, it's just mind-boggling. Let's try to wrap our heads around this for a second. Right now, astronomers estimate there are billions of galaxies in the observable universe. Not millions, billions, with a B. And now for the part that really breaks your brain. Inside each one of those billions of galaxies, there are, on average, hundreds of billions of stars. When you just look at the raw numbers, the statistical probability that Earth is the only planet that ever developed intelligent life, it just seems incredibly, incredibly small, doesn't it? And yet, so far, all we hear is silence. So just stop for a second and imagine it. What if tomorrow you woke up and the news wasn't just another rumor?
What if it was an official announcement? Yes, we've found it. We have detected a signal from an intelligent civilization. I mean, that would change everything, right? It would be the single biggest moment in all of human history.
Which leaves us right back where we started, with that ultimate question. Are all these unexplained blips, these little whispers from the dark, are they just cosmic noise? Or is someone out there actually trying to say hello? And if they are real, if there really is someone else out there trying to talk to us, well, that leads to an even deeper and maybe even a more unsettling question. Are we really ready for what comes next?